Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Tuesday, April the 8th, and we are seeing the futures up significantly this morning. We've got the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ the Dow up 2.76%, the S&P 500 up 2%, and the NASDAQ up 1.76%, and it appears to be climbing. So definitely some positivity going into the morning session today. We're still 90 minutes out, 95 minutes out. So there is an opportunity for things to still go sideways. But what we are coming off of is a day where we had modest losses or gains, depending on the index you're looking at, with the Dow down yesterday almost 1%, the S&P off 0.25%, but coming back from huge losses, and then the NASDAQ actually finishing positive 0.10%. So to see the recovery here is interesting, and all of this though is based upon potential trade deals. It's not based on President Trump making any changes to his Trump policy. So what we're hearing out of the White House, and specifically President Trump, is he is not going to pause tariffs. That is not on the table right now, but that they are in talks with a number of different countries and trying to reach deals. The question is, how quickly are they going to reach these deals? And what impact will they still have on the American consumer? Because the price of goods going up is inflationary, and inflation is effectively a hidden tax. And it's the most expensive tax in the way that it's implemented. And the administration is saying that these revenues, the taxes that they collect from tariffs, will then be used to reduce the deficit, and then they'll be able to pass their huge tax bill. Well, it's not going to be that huge a tax bill if you subtract the increase in costs or the inflation that has taken place from the tax reductions. So it's kind of a bizarre way to go about things, but it's the direction that they're moving in. And hey, you never know. Maybe they'll pull a rabbit from a hat, because as Stephen Murrin, who's been interviewed, I think he's the chair of the White House Economic Council, has just been on Bloomberg saying that Donald Trump is a master of the deal, and he's been able to pull a rabbit out of hats before and make deals work out of nowhere. So we'll see. We've got a lot of deals right now on the table. Obviously, the big one that I believe comes into effect at noon today is the tariffs with China. So we're waiting to see what China comes back with, if anything, and whether or not Donald Trump will then put an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods. If that happens today around noon, I would expect the markets to crater with that announcement. So keep an eye out around the noon hour to see what, if any, announcements come out, and because that's going to really govern what happens this afternoon in the markets. The thing we have to look forward to is earnings. Although banks are talking about getting hammered, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan yesterday made, he's released, I believe, over the weekend, his letter to shareholders, which was 50-some pages, I understand. I'm going to try to read that today. But he has said that the bank, JP Morgan, is going to be doing its best to try to keep a lot of its profits in the bank as opposed to paying them out through dividends or share buybacks this year, just in anticipation of things going south in the economy. There's also a lot of people saying that the U.S. is already in a recession right now, just based on the cutbacks in spending from the American consumer, which is the primary driver of the U.S. economy. So if we take a look at where we are across the board today, crude oil still below $61 a barrel on crude futures. You can see the VIX has dropped from close to 50. It was up at 48 yesterday, down to 40, just under 41. And then as we scroll down here, oddly enough, you see the likes of Costco, which I thought would have been in the low to mid 800s right now, is in the low 900s, and it's getting a boost. Lulu's getting a boost today, still hammered by the tariffs on Vietnam, but I guess there's hope that they're going to be able to negotiate their way around or out of those. Walmart is up $2 today. Dollar General's up. You've got Home Depot up $9, although it was down 12 yesterday. Nike up almost 2.5 or over 2.5, and then healthcare got a big boost yesterday. There was an announcement yesterday that the U.S. government is going to increase payouts to healthcare, I believe, to the tune of $25 billion as an increase from last year. So that definitely caused a lot of the healthcare providers and insurance companies like Humana to pop. Humana's up 38, almost 38 and a quarter right now, a little over 38 and a quarter in the morning pre-market session. So we'll see whether those stick. And then you get into oil. Oil's been beaten down hard, and utilities as well. Vistra up $4.62 yesterday, so that's a pretty big move, but it was down in the high 90s. Looks like it's up again today. I think we're going to have a positive day for oil. Almost everything here is in the green, but they've just been hammered along with other stocks, with crude still down around 61. It'll be interesting. I think we're about 2 weeks out from hearing from some of these companies on earnings. The 24th of April is when we'll hear from Valero. So we'll have to see. I'm not expecting the earnings and revenues to be great, but I do expect them to be profitable. And then we get down into tech, and tech has been slaughtered over the last few days, but it's looking pretty positive this morning. Bit of a turnaround and a comeback across the board, but much needed. I mean, I think tech is down close to 20% at this point. So having the NASDAQ up 2.5% right now is only a 10% turnaround in some of these tech stocks. And remember, I would encourage you not to be buying back in today. First of all, I don't think today is a recovery day. You want to wait until at least the announcement around noon to see what's going on with the Chinese tariffs, because if that goes into effect and there's another 50%, it's going to be bloody again. So if anything, I would be looking at buying some puts potentially before the noon hour today and predicting the market to go down in anticipation of that announcement. You've got Broadcom here up quite significantly, up 6.4%, and that's primarily based on an announcement they made coming out of their board meeting this week. They made it yesterday after market close that they're going to be doing a $10 million share buyback this year. They've got until December 31st of the year to make those purchases. So the board has decided to use some of the cash on hand to buy back shares, which will prop the value of those up. Typically, it'll make earnings per share look more attractive because I'm assuming of the low stock price there. This was a stock that was in the 240s, almost $100, $90 higher than it is now just a month and a half ago. Tesla down yesterday, back up the same amount-ish today. Meta climbing nicely today. So I bought a call on Meta a few days ago. That looks like it could come into the money today. That call expires just after their earnings, because I do anticipate that they're going to have some good numbers, and that might cause that to pop a little bit more and make that option a little more valuable as well. But whether I hold it to expiry is a different question, just because of the volatility. I think I'd rather get out and take my profit and then wait for a day where it plummets again, which could be this afternoon, and then buy back in. And then we get down into financials, and financials have been hit pretty hard as well, but not all of them. So APO, Apollo Global Management, has gone from the 160s down to the 112s. It's looking like it's going to make a bit of a recovery today. SoFi was up in $18. It's now 50% of that, maybe 40% loss of that, down at just under 10. You've got, what else in here? JP Morgan, which announces this week in 3 days at, was 214. It's now up at 222 in the pre-market. So it's making a bit of a recovery there. Morgan Stanley was under $100 yesterday. It looks like it's climbing to 104, 105 today. And then Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs was a stock that was up in the 650s, I want to say, 640, 650s a month or so ago, and it is now down in the 465, looking like a 20% jump in the morning in the session. The one stock that's held its own here is Charles Schwab. So yes, it's been higher, but down at 70 isn't really super low for Charles Schwab. It looks like it's jumping $3 or $2 and change today, close to $3. And that's where we are today. So what would I do today? I'd be just very cautious still about the markets. I think the strategy I've been using recently, which has been profitable on when it comes to trading daily, has been on days like today when things are green and there's more optimism in the market. Wait to see where things level out and get up to. And once you think they've kind of reached their peak, they're spiking again right now. So things continue to climb in the pre-market. See when they get to their peak. And around that time, you're never going to time it perfectly, but around the peak, buy a put at just under that level. So if, let's say, the NASDAQ goes up 500 points, right around that mark, buy a put good through till May 2nd at this point and predict that the market's going to come down below that by May 2nd. I think that's a pretty solid strategy. And then watch what the market does either afternoon today, which I believe it will go down lower, or tomorrow when we have April 9th come and the retaliatory tariffs actually go into effect. Not that there'll be an immediate impact with that, but it's all about the market forecasting the future. And then we're going to get through till Thursday and Friday. And when we start to get earnings coming in from Q2, that's going to start to tell a different type of story, and the narrative's going to start to shift at that point in time. So good luck in your trades. If you're liking these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll talk to you again soon.